Okay, let's unpack this a bit. You're setting up a meeting room, and usually,
Usually that means a remote for the projector.
right, a switch for the screen, a dimmer. It's just clutter.
Yeah.
But today, in this deep dive, we're looking at a device that claims to crush all of that functionality
Right.
right into the footprint of a standard light switch.
It's a classic case of density over size. We're analyzing the Kramer RC-206 6-button I/O control keypad.
Based on the specs and info from HDTVSUPPLY.
Exactly. And frankly, calling it a keypad kind of sells it short. I mean, it's basically a full room controller disguised as a simple wall plate.
Room controller usually implies a rack-mounted processor, right?
Uh-huh.
Like hidden in a closet somewhere.
For standard classrooms or boardrooms, yes. But physically, this fits right into a standard single-gang junction box, US, UK, or European.
Okay.
So it just looks like a set of 6 backlit buttons. The buttons are RGB color and have tactile feedback, but the back end is where the heavy lifting actually happens.
Let's talk about that back end then. Because if I pull this thing out of the wall, I'm expecting to see like a couple of bare wires for a relay.
You'd be surprised. You're actually looking at a miniaturized I/O hub. It has Ethernet for management and firmware upgrades, obviously.
Sure.
But then you also have 2 RS-232 ports and an RS-485 port for serial communication.
Wait, RS-232? Isn't that kind of a dinosaur protocol at this point? Why clutter a modern device with that?
Well, in the Pro AV world, the dinosaurs are still the most reliable beasts in the jungle.
Fair enough.
A lot of high-end projectors and switchers still rely on serial commands for bulletproof control. By jamming those ports directly into the keypad, Kramer eliminates the need for a separate gateway.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it right. What about the physical environment, like motorized screens or shades?
It has 2 built-in 30-volt DC relays. No need for intermediate power packs. You can wire your motorized screen directly to the back of the switch. Plus, there's an IR sensor for learning and 2 IR emitters.
Meaning it can clone the remote control for a consumer TV or a cable box.
Exactly, and there's a general-purpose I/O port for sensors. The density of connectivity here is the real story. It's a standalone brain.
But all that connectivity is totally useless if the interface is dumb. If I have to press 3 buttons just to get the projector to turn on, the end user is going to hate it.
And that is where the Kconfig software comes in. You aren't just assigning a single button to a single port. You're building complex macros.
Give me an example of how that works.
You hit the button labeled Presentation. Kconfig triggers a whole sequence. Relay 1 drops the screen. RS-232 tells the projector to power up and switch to HDMI 1, and the lights dim via the I/O port.
All from one click.
All from one tactile click.
Speaking of tactile, the notes mention these buttons have removable caps. Is that just a gimmick or?
No, it's a huge usability feature. You can pop the cap off and insert a custom label like projector or volume or PC.
Right.
Available in white and black, too.
That makes sense.
In a shared space like a university, you don't want generic buttons. You want the guest lecturer to walk in, see a button that says on, and just have it work without confusion.
And you get that physical tactile feel.
It's about reliability. In a high-stakes meeting, you don't want to tap a flat glass touch panel and wonder if it actually registered. You want the click.
I can definitely see the appeal. But wiring all this Ethernet serial power, does this turn the inside of the wall into a massive rat's nest?
It could, but Kramer uses a feature called KNet.
KNet.
Yeah, it's a single cable carrying both the 12-volt DC power and communication. It lets you daisy chain multiple keypads side by side or at a distance.
So you could have one at the door and one at the podium linked together for a uniform experience.
Exactly, without running separate power supplies to every single GAM box.
That simplifies the install a lot. Now, if you're listening to this deep dive and thinking, great, but I have no idea if this integrates with my specific legacy projector, where do you go?
That is always the tricky part with universal controllers. But the source material from HDTVSUPPLY actually highlights their support for this. They run a Wolfpack technical line specifically to answer those integration questions or offer product suggestions.
That's 833 Wolfpack Radiois, so 833-965-3722.
Correct. It's rare for a simplified vendor to offer that level of support.
And I did spot a financial detail in the purchasing notes. There's a discount code 10% off. Literally the number 10, then percent off, all one word if you're buying from HDTVSUPPLY.
That definitely helps. But the real value proposition here is the hardware consolidation.
It's a bridge. It hides the messy reality of RS-232 wiring and voltage triggers behind a clean, decorative 6-button faceplate.
It democratizes the control. You don't need an IT degree to turn on the room anymore.
Which brings us to a final provocative thought for you to chew on. We are rushing toward voice control and touch screens for absolutely everything. But when the Wi-Fi is spotty or the pressure is on, is there anything that actually beats the sheer dumb reliability of a hardwired physical button for critical room controls? Something to explore on your own. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.